knowledge? Do you like to explore historical content of language, grammar, and law? Well, Academy of Providence is a unique certificate-based virtual learning institution with an aim to draw out a person's innate talents and abilities by imparting the knowledge of languages, epistemology, scientific reasoning, jurisprudence, positive law, history, literature, rhetoric, and more. The channels through which those abilities would flourish and serve the communities as well as the nation. Our goal is to help you dive deep into critically analysis, thinking and reasoning of these areas towards becoming philosophers or humanity of learning or humanity of science, which creates society's great artists, painters, musicians, jurists, doctors, astronomers, biologists, engineers, cartographers, surveyors, photographers, chemists, herbalists, entrepreneurs, computer scientists, teachers, politicians, and statesmen. So, if you are determined and willing to go beyond, Academy of Providence is the perfect place for you. For more information, visit our website, www.academyofprovidence.org.
Salam everyone. Assalamu alaikum. Veda Makum. Welcome. We have a doozy for you tonight. For nearly over 500 years, the Moroccan Empire has been occupied by Spain, Portugal, France, the Netherlands, England/Great Britain. There's been a great deal of European conquests regarding our land, and the European powers that I've listed had land cession treaties among themselves, surveyed our land, and constructed land survey maps to mark out their territorial jurisdictional boundaries. You're familiar with those maps. You've seen those maps in school. You see them on the internet. You Google. You see, areas, Moorish territory under Spain and Portugal, France and Netherlands control. So Shem Malachi Bey will be coming up shortly and discussing how Morocco is the original secured party creditor and what needs to be done to restore Morocco as the secured party creditor. So this is some very good information, and then I'll come on after Shem in an hour to talk about grammar as the building block to reading comprehension, and I'll give a lesson on that, as well as a vocabulary building lesson, skills to help you build your vocabulary. All right, so I'm going to be presenting to you Shem Malachi Bey. I thank you all for tuning in. All right. Thank you for tuning in. So we present to you Shem Malachi Bey.
Peace. Islam. Shalom. Shalom. I'm glad to be here at the House of Reawakening Mind. Glad to be here with Professor Abdullah, Tamara, Lord Terrence, Professor Abdullah, Noble Tamara, to talk about some of the misconceptions that is plaguing the Moors, the Native Moors. When I say Native Moors, that those that inhabit Morocco, the dominion territorial boundaries of Morocco. So when you hear Native Moors, that's they that domicile this hemisphere of the earth, this land. The ones that in the 1952 case, France versus United States, France used the word Moor. And that dispute was over the territorial jurisdiction in Morocco, occupying regulating commerce in the territory domain of Morocco. France used the term Moor. Why did France use the term Moor? Because Moors are the secure party creditors to this land. In order for France to be a secure party creditor, what you mean, Shem? In order for France to regulate commerce here, to have a political, civic, and industry where its citizens and subjects can operate and work for the crown, France had to go to the secure parties and the creditors of the land, and they used the word more. Therefore, that brought France and its subjects into the secure party creditor. What do you mean, Shem? France subjects discharge its debts with its own money. France subjects trade and buy, ran industry without interference from the Moroccan government or any other foreign government. France was able to defend itself in Morocco, its territory, its occupying political territory under conquest through treaty. France is able to defend. France is able to have a political body. France is able to have civics. That's a secure party creditor. The Moors are secure party creditors because the Moors government and people grant them that status of amnesty to be here in Morocco. Okay, T, read the first paragraph. We're going to read where we got some misconceptions, where these new identities and status come from that's not even in the Constitution, that's not even in the French Constitution, but yet these concepts, constructed definitions are up now, and is making the Moors think that they have rights under these new created statuses. Go ahead, T.
Many people ask, what is the difference between a secure party creditor, a private citizen, American national, and related terms? They basically mean the same thing, but are slightly different. You can be one or all of those statuses in some cases. Let me explain the definition so there's no confusion. Private citizen. Private citizen is someone who is private and not governed by any de facto corporation like the U.S. Corporation or its subsidiaries like State of California, State of Texas, etc.
Okay. Now, I'm going to use the United States. When you go to the United States and fill out an application to get an ID, you're a citizen of the District of Columbia or you're a U.S. national. There's nothing in the application form that say an American national. When you go to the United States Constitution, the Constitution embodies your status in the Constitution to recognize the identity of the party who's protected in that instrument. The word America is not in there. The word American is not in that Constitution. What we have going on here? We have someone conjuring up falsehood and misnomers to throw people off, and then the people don't look back to the instruments and documents and say, is this true? Next paragraph, T.
American national, a private citizen of anywhere in America, North or South America, anywhere whatsoever, can be on Indian territory, tribal territory in Canada or Mexico, or you can be a resident of your city, located at one of the sovereign republic states, without interfacing jurisdiction in the corporation United States.
Okay, now let me go back here. The colonies that's controlled by the English crown and the British crown. When the people that's voting today, that's called persons in the Constitution, before they revoked revelation, they was called planners. planners. Didn't say Americans. It say planners. Where do the word American comes in the status? When the Europeans started coming on the shores of the Morocco, when they look at the indigenous people, Moors of the land, they developed in their colleges in the 16th century a race paradigm and not call the native of the land Moors, but called them American. But nowhere in the treaties, the Moors treaties with Great Britain, Spain, France, is the word American identifying a United States citizen. As a matter of fact, the first treaty United States signed with the Emperor of Morocco in 1787. In that treaty, it has 3 different status. It say an American citizen. It said American, excuse me, a United States citizen. Then it said American. Then it say and a Moor. That's 3 different statuses. So where do United States come at in a treaty? Don't even call you American. Would you come out with this philosophy or these opinions and this school of thought that you are American national? That's a fraud. You can't even get an ID in the States or United States American national. Now, anybody can go out here and get an ID print up, but is that passed? Is it an act passed by the legislators to allow they agencies or departments, bureaus, to give one a identification card other than what they say legislatively, citizens of the state of Pennsylvania, citizens of the state of Delaware, or the state of Delaware, citizens of the state of Delaware, or resident. The word resident citizen is there. The word American is not there. Go ahead, T.
Secure party creditor, SPC. Someone who was a U.S. citizen and has a U.S. birth certificate or certificate of citizenship if born aboard, or permanent residents who has a green card, a social security number, who has voided and canceled the contracts creating the U.S. citizen / resident and replaced them with a private citizen status, who also has taken control of their legal name, trust, and can operate freely to discharge debts or court actions at will. An SPC is a certificate type of individual which at one point in time, perhaps for much of its life, has been a U.S. citizen or permanent resident. But after discovering the fraud and scam that the government is really a private corporation and a voluntary society, and desiring to become a sovereign and free, has done a process of paperwork filings that has, 1, privatized their legal name trust, and 2, recorded the necessary UCC filings. There are 33 pages and 3 opened up their Treasury Direct account to pull jurisdiction off of the Secretary of Treasury for being receiver / administrator of your accounts, and has set up a mandatory discharge fiduciary contract with said office. And 5, gotten the consent of the secretaries of state of various states, the IRS, and Washington, D.C., through tacit acquiescence that you are in control and have a prima facie position within the courts for being sovereign. Becoming a secure party creditor simultaneously makes you also a private citizen, American national, and state citizen. They are simultaneously. However, one could have been born a private citizen and American national with no birth certificate, I'm sorry, no social security card, no green card, immigration contract with U.S. Corporation. And therefore, they would not simultaneously be a secured party creditor because they do not have a birth certificate generated legal name, nor do they have a Treasury direct account.
Okay. What we have here is something modern, like someone cooking up a pot, a recipe. That's a recipe somebody cooked up. They put their own recipe together. Now, let's go back and examine this. Since this is coming from the corner, a portion, a directional latitude of the United States. The United States, before it was formed, was colonies. The 13 United Colonies. Having letters of patent given to the Lord Prosperous and grants given to the esquires who worked for the kings and queens. The people that came off the boat was immigrants, planters. That's a debtor. They was a debtor when they got off the boat in Morocco, and when they went on the fort, which is a plantation, a reservation, they was debtors. This is why they had to work and pay tribute, rent, and pay taxes to the crown and the Lord Prosperous. You a debtor, that's a debtor. They could never get out of that debtor category. A revoke disagreement happened between the people, the Lord Prosperous, and the Privacy Council and the kings and queens of the crown of England. They fled because the parliament and government was either picked by the crown or picked by the Lord Prosperous. The people were just planners, citizens, planners. They didn't have any weight, they debtors. They go to the Native Moors in 1778 and sign a treaty called the 1778 Delaware Treaty with the Native Moors in the United States. United States needed amnesty and it needed asylum. Asylum means protection from being killed. So now this United States is a debtor to the Moors. See, I'm breaking this down for you so they won't trick you. They never left the debtor state with Great Britain, and they became a debtor to the Native Moors. They create in 1781 the Articles of Incorporation that was existing under the Lenape Delaware nation. That means it's able to incorporate because a sovereign, a most favorable nation, grant them a charter, permission, grant through a treaty. However, they are debtors now. They have no way of using their own money. They have no way of making their own laws. So what they did was they went back to their mother in 1783 as a debtor. The Lord Prosperous, yes, was the one negotiating, not the planners. Remember, they just used as pawns to fight the war if things don't go right for the Lord Prosperous, who's the patent holders. Between the Privacy Council and the crown, they need the pawns to protect their position, negotiate. 1783, the Lord Prosperous and the esquires met with the crown and they sat down and signed a treaty of peace. In the treaty of peace, United States was given permission to run their own colony as a leasee, a franchisee. In the colony in England, sovereign occupying jurisdiction under succession treaties. The land was ceded to them to run their own political and industry, commerce. They went back and signed a treaty which allowed them now to form, which is called 17, the Articles, which Abdullah read, I believe one of the House of Awakening Minds. Then they created the Constitution. The Constitution was written by the creditors, the lower proprietors, and the esquires. The people was debtors. They stayed. The planners became the persons in the Constitution, which became the citizens of the United States. In that Constitution, when the lower proprietors and the esquire wrote the status of the planners, it did not say American national. So I'm going back to the documents. That new cooked stewed pot they stirring up. I don't want to eat that. I'm gonna find the ingredients in that pot was used. So let's go back. The Constitution does not say that. The Legislative Act does not say that. The amendments to the Constitution saying that all the citizens of the state and of the United States that were first under the subjects of the crown is now considered said to be Americans. Does not say that. As a matter of fact, under the 1871 Congress, I forgot what Congress that were after Lincoln got assassinated. After the assassination of Lincoln, I say the new Congress because the old Congress died. Lincoln declared the War Powers Act, and there was no more legitimate Congress. The Congress was brought back by gunpoint because General Lee surrendered. He went back to the Articles of Corporation and fought under the old articles as independent states. General Lee surrendered to Grant. Therefore, the sovereignty that they had in the Articles of Confederacy died. That's what the Supreme Court said. It died because Lee surrendered. Lee was the general and the president under the Confederate United States. Yes, he was the general and the president. He declared himself to be that. And the people, the states that rebelled declared him to be that. He surrendered to the northern side jurisdictional leaseholders. He surrendered. When he surrendered, they considered the articles, according to them in the Constitution, the Articles of Confederation, which the South went back to. He surrendered. There's nothing in there say anything about an American. As a matter of fact, the Congress went into session to pass legislature. The first time they was declared white people is by act of the legislators declaring the people citizens of the state and the United States to be free white people. They didn't even use the word American. So where's this American coming from? It's not a nationality. It's a word that was coined by the Europeans to take the Moors out of their original status under conquest. Now I'm going to read something. Native Moors of Morocco are the secure party creditors. Now I'm going to read, and I'm going to give my reasons for the following reasons. Please hear me. 1, the Moors Moroccan governments are the native Moors that first inhabited the land named Morocco. You hear me? The government representatives who signed treaties with other foreign nations not domiciled in Morocco were all native Moors. I'm going to read it again. The government representatives who signed treaties with other foreign nations not domiciled in Morocco were all native Moor. What you mean? Morocco, if you're from Morocco, you are native Moor. Because this is your land in this hemisphere you at right here. 3, the emperor, the empress, kings, queens, and the head of states, representatives of the Moroccan Empire, are Moors. 4, the Moors are the parties, real living people, the life, having a right to inheriting the estates and the territories in Morocco. 5, a Moor with a political allegiance connected to a cultural identity of their ancient ancestors' Moorish consanguinity is the secure party creditor. How is this possible? How is this possible? 1, claim to be a part of an all existing Moorish Moroccan tribe or nation state, secure you with the protection in the Moors' own domicile, territorial dominion. Secure. Native Moors of consanguinity are the parties. Secure party. 3, being a native Moor living in the territories within Morocco with an established government not bound or obligated or under conquest and cannot and is not liable to any other sovereign, native country, or de facto state. Please listen. 4, not depending on the using of a foreign country currency to buy, sell, discharge of debt, and a right to protect themselves, their land, their air, their water, and also have a political structure where they self-determine and making their own laws through their legislature, and have their own claims disputed in their own courts by native Moors, and regulate industry and commerce among themselves without any interference, and own their estates without writing a description up and putting the custodian of the state or a foreign government for it to be honored. This is a creditor. Any questions? Any questions, Tamara? Okay. You any questions, T?
Can a Moor be a secure party creditor while enforcing the United States Constitution?
Absolutely not. Because a Moor can't force the United States Constitution. The Moroccan government and the Moors are not a party to it. That's an instrument, and it's commercial. It's a navigation instrument, and the Moors are not a party to it whatsoever. There's no way in the world that a Moor is supposed to be, listen, a Moor do not supposed to be trying to enforce the United States Constitution, because it was not created by any Moorish representatives or voted in by the people, original Moors in Morocco. So the Moors cannot use the United States Constitution because they're not a party to it. Not only that, the United States lost in 1952 the world case at The Hague with France versus the United States in 1952. France and United States had a dispute in dealing with Morocco. And what came up was that France used the name of the secure party creditor, which was the native Moor. The France say that they signed treaties with the Moors, but this is pertaining to Morocco. So if France said they signed treaties with the Moor, then that means in order to be a secure party creditor, you have to claim to be a native Moor. Because France signed treaties with the native Moor, and the representative that signed and negotiated with France was Moors. So if you're not saying you're a Moor, then you're not a secure party creditor, because you're not protected by the treaty. The treaties say protect Moors, Moroccans, and Moors. Moors, Moorish, and Moroccans. Doesn't say nothing about an Indian, a Negro, a Mexican, an Hispanic, a Latino. Doesn't say nothing about that in the Moorish treaties. The Act of Algiers also makes it clear that the United States is forbidden in adjudicating in the affairs of the crowns, the European powers. So pertaining to Moors in Morocco, when you talk about Morocco, you talk about the native Moor. So how can a Moor enforce the Constitution when the United States don't even have jurisdiction? The Fez Treaty, which I call the Empire Treaty. France negotiated with the Emperor of Morocco and the Moors and made it clear that the word is used, is called Moroccans. Franco-Moroccans, not American Moroccans. Please hear me out. Not Franco-Moroccans. There's no word American there. Not Franco-Mexican, not Franco-Indian, not Franco-Negro, not Franco-Puerto Rico, not Franco-modern-day states. Franco-Moroccan is there. It said in the Protective Treaty of 1912, the Feds, the treaty between France and Spain concerning Morocco, this was said, that France is the successor of the Sultan. Now, what are you talking about? That means France and Spain has absolute jurisdiction in dealing in political, civics, economics, commerce, and industry with the Moors. Nobody else exclusively got that. England, British, Spain, and France. The United States gets its protection now for its citizens. Under these treaties, protect the United States citizens. United States is not protecting Morocco by their military power. They got power to do business here by the Moors and the crowns. Because the 1778 treaty has never been. Somebody said, well, United States don't honor that. They say that void. It ain't their right to say it void because they didn't give us anything. We grant them asylum and amnesty, so they cannot make the treaty void. If they make the treaty void, they got to get the hell out of here then. That treaty is still lasting. You know what the problem is? The Native Moors got to wake up and get a political structure and enforce that treaty. It's saying that our lands are guaranteed to us. What do you mean? You're a creditor. When your lands are guaranteed to you, you're a creditor. You're not a debtor. That's a guarantee. That means somebody is a guarantor. When somebody say your land is guaranteed, that means you're the principal. You're the obligee. Somebody owe you an obligation. The United States is a guarantor. It's a surety held in place to pay debts. And the citizens are obligated to pay that debt. And they threw them the Moors back by brainwashing us on a conquest through language. Well, we got to get this right. Any questions? Because Professor Abdullah wanted.
Yeah, Shem, go into our 1778 treaty between the Lenape Moors, where there's been falsely labeled as Delaware Indians, and the United States. I can't recall what article where we allow the rebels, those subjects who were in revolt against the English crown, free passage
to their land.
Yes, so
country.
go into that.
Let me explain something to you. First of all, the Lenanapes are not Indians because the Lenanapes had a country. And matter of fact, the 8 to 1744 Lancaster Treaty make it clear that the Lenape was part of the Fire Council, Lord. Let me explain what's going on here. There have been Lenape Moors that was conquered by Lenanapes. That means they was conquered by their own cousins and their kinsmen. When that happened, they fall to a subject status. Not an Indian, they become a Moor subject. Because what was it? See, you guys, what was they before they called Indian? Nobody wants to address this question. There was Moors, Native Moors of Morocco. When the Indians signed a treaty with the United States, in order to sign a treaty of that magnitude where somebody is against the crown, you have to be operating as a most favored nation with authority as a country. They was called the Lenape Moors. The reason why they call them Indians, because that means that they fall under the subject status of the crown, France, Spain, Great Britain, England, they fall in servitude status. By not saying Moor and saying Lenape Indians, that means the British subjects, and watch this, the British subjects was not allowed. British subjects was not allowed to sign treaties with foreign nations because of the 1763 proclamation. When did a subject have power to sign a treaty among themselves with another subject of the same parent, same country? Where did this come from? If you're an Indian, you're a British national according to the 1926 Hayes decision between the United States, New York, and the Crown, Great Britain. In that case, New York and the United States say that the Cayuga nation is de facto. Great Britain respond and won and was right that they de jure. What do you mean, Great Britain? Before we in this case, before you was New York, before the letter of patent was given to the Lord Prosperous, before the Duke of York before the King Charles II gave letters of patent to the Duke of York, his brother, the Indian or the Cayuga Moors was sovereign. They were de jure. See what's going on here? You got everybody mixing a mixture. But everybody want to eat it, but don't want to look in what's in the pot, was make the mixture, the porridge. Please, this is very important. A secure party creditor is a native national of his country that has the right to self-determine, that's been inherited through the inheritance of his ancient mothers and fathers. He inherited the land, the agriculture, the political, civics, economics, commerce. He inherited the philosophy, the knowledge to be educated, support from within, to do the same thing ancestors did. Let me plant my food. Let me do my commerce. Let me buy and sell. He can buy and sell without any restrictions of a foreign nation. He has his own currency. He go into the earth, into the mines, pull out the wealthy metals, the precious metals, melt them down, put an image on it, and use it for currency to discharge his debt, to bring his ships in and out of his port as he pleased, and sell, buy, barter, and exchange without any foreign nation telling him, regulating a foreign government, regulating to him the currency, how to use it, how he weight, or how his ships, the time his ships come on, or how much merchandise he could put on the platform, or he got to have a license, get approval for them, and file his papers with them. He don't ask a foreign nation to please protect us. Can you come in here, please? Because, my cousins, they don't took away my authority, and, I can't beat them, but can you please come in and help me fight against my kin? You gave away your sovereignty. That's a secure party credit, one that is free from all these restrictions. Any questions, Tamara? Questions? Wait for questions. Wait, give me a minute. Get some questions.
Yes, there's a question. Should I have to go back to it? Someone, I don't know if a question or a statement, so I'm just going to say it, how they wrote it. Someone said, let me get to it. This is a statement. We can hold them accountable to that document, the Constitution. We can hold them accountable to that docket. I guess the docket must be the Constitution.
Well, the Moors, the native Moors here in Morocco, don't have to hold United States liable to the document. All they got to do is hold United States liable to the status under the name United States. Just hold them to the status of what government status they under. The Constitution is that you don't have to hold them obligated to that. You hold them obligated to what gave them the right to be organized as a modern colony, United States. What grant them the power to assemble together as the United States? That's what you got to honor. You know, there's three treaties. Treaty of the Native Moors of 1778. Excuse me, of course, the treaty with France of 1778, September. I think a month later or later in that month, they entered treaty with the Native Moors of 1778. Then the 1783 treaty and the 1787 or 89 treaty with the Emperor of Morocco. They are the four treaties that you use to hold them liable. Would you be home liable? Make them acknowledge and recognize you are nothing else but what the treaties grant you. Next question.
Well, I want to kind of make it more emphasized on the 1778 treaty, because you mentioned about the one that we supplied goods and services and free passage along the way. We have to keep in mind the contracting parties. The treaty with the Delawares, 1778, articles of agreement and confederation made and entered into by Andrew and Thomas Lewis, Esquire, commissioners for and in behalf of the United States of North America of the one part, and Captain White Eyes and Captain John Kilbuck Jr. and Captain Pipe, deputies and chief men of the Delaware Nation of the other part. So that is the contracting party.
That's right.
To this treaty of 1778.
That's right.
Now I'm gonna jump all the way down to Article 3. This is where it gets very important. It say, and whereas the United States are engaged in a just and necessary war in defiance and support of life, liberty, and independence against the King of England and his inheritance, and as said king is yet possessed on several posts and forts on the lakes and other places, the reduction of which is of great importance to the peace and security of the contracting parties. And as the most practical way for the troops of the United States to some of the posts and forts is by passing through the country of the Delaware Nation. The aforesaid deputies, on behalf of themselves and their nation, do hereby stipulate and agree to give a free passage through their country to the troops aforesaid, and the same to conduct by the nearest and best ways to the posts, forts, or towns of the enemies of the United States, affording to said troops such supplies of corn, meat, horses, and whatever may be in their power for their accommodation of such troops.
There you go. There you go. Now, if you're a creditor, why do you have to sign a treaty? If you already got a country, why do you have to be able to go to somebody else's country and go to a fort? Where your country at? Where your land at? You don't own any land. You're planners. I'm not hurting nobody's feelings. I could break it down in ranks. You got the crowns, the queen, the crown, king, queen, the privacy council, duke, earl, counts, barons, nobles, lords. The Lord Prospectors receives the letters of patent. The esquires work for the Lord Prospectors and the crown. The crown grants the esquire the title of lord, which makes him a Lord Prospector. Now, this is not the common, this is not the planner here. The planners are not in this rank. It's not the planners negotiate with the Native Moors. It's part of the Lord Prospectors that the planners rose up against. That's the freeholders. They couldn't handle them, so they goes to the crown to back them up, who gave them the charter, gave them the letter of patent. When they in trouble of life threatened, they flee with the planters and they need safety. So they go to the Native Moors. That's the truth. The Native Moors. You go to somebody and they grant you asylum. Asylum means when somebody protect you from enough. Asylum means protect you from your country government killing you, put you up for trial for treason. That's what asylum means. That another country is protecting you. You're a debtor. You ain't no creditor. When you become a creditor, then you go back to the crown and sign a treaty with the crown, your parent. When you become a creditor, when the United States become a creditor, you're using the child. The only thing changed is you was granted a charter to create a new colony, which only granted the people to right to vote in the judiciary, the legislature, and the executive. That's the president or the governor. Under the old provincial colonies, the planters have no right but was allowed to vote in judges. But the parliament and the government was either appointed by the crown and the privacy council or the Lord Prosperators. The 1763 proclamation forbid a subject to own land in Morocco and in America, which is called North America, which is called the Crown, the British Dominion, the French Dominion. The subjects could not buy land and own land. The colony, the Lord Prosperators, could not even own the land. They got letters of patent. The benefactors is the crown and the Pope and the privacy council. The instrument to hold them accountable is the instrument that delegated authority for them to run government in Morocco. Any more questions, Tamara?
Yes, I think it's a very great one because you hear so many of these lectures week after week, day after day. Moors are, turning on their private YouTube, their private Facebook, and things of that nature in attempts to bring light and shed light to who's who and what's what in order for there to be true liberation. Because I think there's a a misconception that just, Moors collectively just come together and buy land. Well, you can't buy what you already own. And how are you buying something with a promissory note? It's a promise to pay. So there's a whole lot of talk about that. So there's talk about businesses. But here's the thing to that. When you're trying to create these methods of commerce, you still have to consider who holds the master switch. So let's get into the solutions and remedies, because I know there's been so much conversation about this. A lot of people think that, they see the people that are lecturing, they may sometimes think they come across as, oh, this is the information they're saying is foreign. It don't make sense because they have their ear has been pulled to indoctrination. So to hear this information, it's going to take a layering, a peeling back like you peel an onion till you get to the core. So let's put some areas of solution on the table, because we hear a lot of talk, but we never hear the solution and remedies to the information that is being presented. So I think one of the greatest questions I see on here is, how do we as Moors enforce these 17, 1800, well, we're going to go all the way back to 1600, 1700, 1800 treaties. And these treaties, how are we to Moors do that? How are we to enforce these treaties? Because you hear so much all the time about enforcing the Constitution. It is understood that that is a foreign colonized, that is a constitution for the people who came and set up colonies for their lineage. That constitution was not designed for the native Moors that was already here. We already had well-settled standing principle norms, the way we operate. So let's get into let's get into the conversation about solutions and remedies and what must occur. Because I know, Brother Abdullah, if you will, could you also get up there and talk about, the Montevideo Convention and things of that?
Right.
Those are solutions that must be put in place in order to get to that status of reversion to sovereignty. So let's get into that a little bit.
Yes. Professor Abdullah is going to speak on, as he always do, what it takes for us to get back to our sovereign status.
Islam, everyone. Islam. As you all know, that the Moors of Pure Restoration Caucus, since June of 2019, has been making the national call for national unity, making the national call to national unity, and the Moors of Pure Restoration Caucus will continue to do so as we put out the newspaper, the national newspaper of the Moors of Pure Restoration Caucus, called the Moroccan Post. Post means to announce. We're making a call to Moors. I don't mean just those who know they're Moors. So when I say Moors, I don't mean Moors like y'all. I mean, y'all know y'all Moors. I'm talking about Moors. All right? Our brothers and sisters, Farrakhan and pastors and imams and rabbis, different organizations who used the title Black, Negro, Colored. We're making a call to Moors. My observation for 28 years, those who know they're Moors stay in their little group of 5 or 4 or 5. And they make statements like, I haven't seen a Moor in a week. I haven't seen a Moor in a week. The only way that statement can be true, if that natural person, that Moor, stays in his or her house for 7 days with no visitors, no children, nothing. No, you're the only one in the house for 7 days. No, I mean, that's it. I mean, that can happen. I mean, you can be the only one in the house for 7 days, and then you would say, I haven't seen them more in a week. But if you have a wife or a girlfriend, children, you see your mother, your aunts, your sisters, your brothers, your aunt, your cousins, your nephews, co-workers, and you say, I haven't seen them more in a week. And that statement's an error. They'll say, well, you know what I mean? No. That is faulty logic. That has held us back. That has held us back. So when I say we're making a call to Moors, this is a national call to Moors. Those pastors and rabbis and imams, those are the members of Nation Newest Farrakhan and the gang. To Moors, we need our national unity. We needed 100 years ago. How do you facilitate national unity among the Moors? First, there must be a proper view of what this movement is. There has not been a proper view of what this movement is. What is this Moorish movement? They see you have, and I'm coming this way because we have to, in talking about national unity, you have to have a proper view. All right, so a permanent population. A permanent population is one of the main points dealing with the Montevideo Convention, 1933. or restoring the statehood status, or Montevideo Convention, the permanent population. How do you facilitate a permanent population? Make a national call. Make a national calls. We put out the Moroccan Post and distribute the Moroccan Post all throughout our land. UnitedRepublicOfMorocco.com, academyofprovidence.org, and the Moorish Pure Restoration Caucus will have her own website. So and also do education. So it's important.
Okay, brother, I want to come in on you a little bit.
Let me just
No, I want to just, I want to.
I'm gonna make this point. Let me finish making this point. The point, so it's a key that a permanent population is number one. Without reaching out to the people and facilitating a permanent population, you don't have political legitimacy. In political science, political legitimacy is key, meaning the voice of the people. And what I've observed for 28 years is that you have a group of 5 Moors or 10 Moors who come together, and they may have elections of 5 or 10, and they come up with a name, Moorish National X whatever government. 5 out of 40 million, 10 out of 40 to 50 million come together and make the claim, we are the Moorish National whatever government. That is not political legitimacy. That is not a plebiscite. A plebiscite where you have millions of Moors who vote. And a plebiscite, pleb means people, site means vote. So that's not political legitimacy. How are you claiming to exercise the sovereign power? This body of 5 or 10 is claiming to exercise the sovereign power of the emperors of Morocco, the beys, the caliphs, the deys. You're claiming to exercise the same moral sovereignty that Muhammad ibn Abdullah exercised when he signed the Treaty of Peace and Friendship in June of 1786. That 5 or 6 body of Moors claiming to that. I don't think they really understand what they're doing. I don't really think they understand what they're doing. I'm gonna stand on that. I'm gonna give them a pass. I don't think they understand what they're doing. We have to understand political legitimacy. Permanent population and political legitimacy go hand in glove. Very important. So that has to get across. So you have to reach out to the community. You have to reach out. You cannot facilitate a permanent population if you stay among yourselves. The other points in the Montevideo Convention don't matter if you don't meet the first one. If you don't facilitate a permanent population by reaching out, what does other point matter?
Well, that's why I wanted to kind of stop you right there when you say, I didn't want coming together to be left open as broad. Can't you quantify the coming together the call to what is that call?
All right.
What is the action within that call? What is the coming together? Because we see our people come together. They have fish fries. They have what you call these festivals, and they put up their tables, and they sell the different products and T-shirts and shea butters and things of that nature. They consider that to be coming together. So I did not want, when we're talking about solutions and remedy, I didn't want the coming together to be so loose. So could
All
you
right.
quantify that?
That's the coming together. Let me explain. Tamara gave an example of coming together. I'm going to use that. That's a coming together. Meaning, if those who know their Moors, those who are listening to me right now, if you facilitate a fish fry, that is a coming together. You are conscious that you are Moor. You put out flyers of a fish fry, and you assemble 200 to 300 of those who don't know their Moors. Hear me out. Those who don't know their Moors, you facilitate 300 in a park. That's a coming together, because you are conscious, and you will pass out flyers. You will pass out a brochure and educate them. You will fly. All right, you would have the Moors flag out there. These are unconscious Moors, but you are not conscious. You are conscious. That's a coming together, where a conscious Moor is making an effort through a fish fry and assembling the people. And what? They're going to sign. They're going to sign. You're building a permanent population. They're signing. Now you got 300. I'm going to make it simple. My name is not Mr. Complicated. I'm making it simple. That's a coming together. In international law, that's a coming together. You are making an effort to assemble your people, facilitating a permanent population. Let's not make this complicated. So Tamara said fish fry, I'm going to use that. That's a coming together. We're not talking. Now, if you're talking about 300 Moors who don't know their Moors, and not one person know their Moors, remember, you made the call. A conscious Moor made the call. That's a difference. A conscious Moor made the call. A conscious Moor is facilitating population. Smith, Jones, Johnson, doesn't matter. That's like you're beginning the process, and you want to educate them while they're there at the fish fry. You want to get their phone numbers, emails. You want to have study groups. That's it coming together. We got to keep this thing simple. We got to keep this thing simple. We can't not overcomplicate this. All right? All right, so I'm going to end there, and I'm going to bring my books over here, Shem. My notebook and my books, please. I want to keep it simple, that's all. I want to keep it simple. My notebook, my books. My notebook and my books. Yes, thank you. All right. So we're just trying to keep it. We want to kiss it. All right. We also, last point. The Moors Imperial Restoration Caucus since March of this year have held Moorish body politic formation classes. We had our 15th one this past Wednesday. 15th one. And those classes are free, all 15. You go to the academyofprovidence.org. Put that in the chat, Tamara, academyofprovidence.org. Share that. Share that with your loved ones, your co-workers, friends, and so forth. These are free classes, 15 of them. That's the Moorish politic formation classes. So that's an educational piece. So if you have a study group. You can connect them to that body of information. The Academy of Providence also has classes. You'll see on the academyofprovidence.org classes where these are paid classes, grammar courses, and we also have law courses. We have a current course called the Public Administration International Law course. This tomorrow will begin our third class of the 12-week course. All right? So we're going to keep this, we want to just keep it simple. All right? I thank y'all for listening to me. All right. So grammar. What is grammar? How does grammar aid in reading and writing and critical thinking and analysis? How is grammar the building block to reading comprehension? How can one build one's reading comprehension through the study of grammar? You'll find out tonight. I'm going to give you a simple sentence. I'll write a simple sentence on the board. And we're going to build on this sentence. We're going to see how grammar aids in reading comprehension. It's the building block. Here we go. Mira wrote a book. All right. You say, man, that's simple. I know that. We will make sure you solidly clear on this. All right, we have subject. Can I use a different color? Use blue. Is this too light? Subject, verb, direct object. Subject, verb, direct object. All right, question. Who wrote the book? Who wrote the book? Who wrote the book? Amira. Who wrote the book? Amira wrote the book. What did Amira write? When did Amira write the book? Why did Amira write the book? How did Amira, I'll do the last one. Where did Amira write the book? How did Amira write the book? All right, what's the answers? What's the answers? What's the answers? Who wrote the book? We know the answer. All right, Amira. What did Amira write? A book. When did Amira write the book? N.A. Information not given. It's not tricky. Information not given. Why did Amira write the book? N.A. Information is not given. Where did Amira write the book? N.A. Information is not given. How did Amira write the book? N.A. Information is not given. It's not tricky. It's not tricky. You're reading it. This information is not provided. So, how do you provide this information? Through clauses or phrases or adjectives or prepositions or adverbs? How do you? But Amira wrote the book. Why is this key? Because we're going to see as we build onto this sentence, Amira wrote the book, how grammar plays an important role in reading comprehension. We can provide more information about Amira. We can provide more information about the book. Or we can answer all these questions through clauses or phrases or adjectives, adverbial clauses, noun clauses, adjective clauses, gerunds, participles, infinitives, prepositional phrases, or single adjectives or single adverbs. To answer these questions, when, where, why, when, why, where, and how. We know the who and what already. So we know the who and what have been given. The subject, the verb, direct object. So who, so let's look at who wrote the book. Direct object answers the question, what? Direct object answers the question, what? Amira wrote what? Amira wrote what? A book. This is how grammar and reading comprehension. Grammar, the building block to reading comprehension. I'm taking you to something, a simple sentence with 1, 2, 3, 4 words, and giving you this lesson. They're going to show you how this build. We build on this. So let's look at it. All right, here we go. Here we go. Amira wrote a book.
May I interject?
Yes. Let's raise that one.
Okay. The importance of this, I see it, but I just want to express it for others. And because a lot of times you will see that when Moors are reading bodies of literature such as lawful information, treaties, and things of that nature, they will read the information and then they will interject the comprehension of what they just read. They will place the who, what, where into the sentence when the who, what, where is not even defined in the sentence.
Yep.
So I wanted to just make that clarity because we had that that example occurred in one of the classes about the Article 6 of the Articles of Confederation, where it talked about it reads United States of Congress assembled, and it was interpreted that it reads United States Continental Congress, and because it's saying continental and we are the continent, that will make us the Moors of the continent. So it was amazing to see that someone will take a word and interject the who, what, where into a sentence, and it's not in that sentence. So I was hoping that everyone will be able to see the example of what you're putting up as a foundation of understanding the information that's being read, and to not interject other parts of a sentence into what has been read.
All right, here we go. Amir wrote a book. We know that. We analyzed that simple sentence. Now we want to provide more information. So we what? Add a adverbial clause of time while she was on vacation in Florida. This is while introduces an adverbial clause of time. Academy of Providence, There's a 12-week course on clauses, noun clauses, adjective clauses, and adverbial clauses at academyofprovidence.org. Class is available on academyofprovidence.org. 12-week course on clauses. Adverbial clause of time. So now this answers, when did Amir write the book? When did Amir write the book? While she was on vacation in Florida. Adverbial clause of time. Amir, who is, all right, so we're gonna, let's add on to this. Amir, who is a chef. Oh, now we getting somewhere. All right, wrote a book while she was on vacation in Florida. All right, here we go. Now we got more information about who Amir is. Amir is a chef. So we added an adjective clause. An adjective clause, who introduces the adjective clause? Amir, who wrote, who is a chef. Amir, who is a chef. This is an adjective clause. Giving us information about Amir. Adjective clause. We already had, we talked about the adverbial clause. So now we know more information about who Amir is. We know when did she write the book. All right. Now let's provide more information about the book. What do we need to do to provide more information about the book? All right. Amir wrote a book. All right. Amir wrote a book. Amir, who is a chef, wrote a book that was placed on the best sellers list while she was on vacation in Florida. Amir wrote a book. Amir, who is a chef, wrote a book. More information about the book. The adjective clause. So now we have another adjective clause, modifying book. We have another adjective clause, modifying book. All right. We're going to provide more information. Are there any questions before I go on? No questions? All right. All right, here we go. Amir, who is a chef at one of the, so I'll write this whole sentence on the board. Amir, who is a chef at one of the finest restaurants wrote a cooking book that was placed on the best sellers list while she was on vacation in Florida. All right, so now we add more information about mirror. So we have the adjective clause here, adjective clause here, adverbial clause here. So it gives us information. Who is one of the, so who is a chef? Now we have here, this is an adjective and prepositional phrase. This is a prepositional phrase. And this here, a prepositional phrase introducing time. Time. Where? At one of the finest restaurants. Humera is a chef. Where? At one of the finest restaurants. So this is a prepositional phrase. You have prepositional, there are 15 sematical prepositions. Time, place, manner, source, reason, degree, destination, purpose. Then you also have what's called spatial prepositions. Spatial prepositions. Direction, up and down, path, through. Those are, so you have sematical classifications of spatial prepositions. This gets down to a detail of analysis. So now I'm looking at critical thinking, grammar and critical thinking. Makes you a better writer, speaker. Now you're getting that to exact meaning, being more precise and concrete in your writing, your analysis, your speech. This is how grammar works, aids in reading comprehension. All right, so put that sentence on the board. So we have here, all right. The teacher gave her students an assignment. The teacher gave her students an assignment. Teachers gave her students an assignment. So we have here, teacher, subject. Teacher gave what? The teachers give students. The teacher gives students. The teacher gave assignment. Teacher gave assignment. That's the direct object. So teacher gave what? An assignment. To whom? students. The teachers gave assignment to whom? Students. Because teachers didn't give students, the teacher gave an assignment to whom? Students. So you have the indirect object. Indirect object. This aids in reading long sentences, 50 words, and it's common to see long sentences in old books, early 1900s, 1800s, 1920s, 1930s, 40s. It's common. You'll see 50, 70 word sentences. It's common. You'll see prepositions, you'll see clauses. And you'll see a sentence may have 4 or 5 clauses. A sentence that may have 3 clauses and phrases, or a sentence that may have 5 or 6 phrases, gerunds, participles, and infinitives. But let's get down to the root of what is the independent clause, the main clause. Teacher gave her students an assignment. So they have here, teacher gave. Let's work with that. That's your main idea. Teacher gave. The subject and the verb. Subject and the verb. Even with the verb, you have tense, mood, all right, voice, aspect, so past tense, present tense, simple past, simple tense, simple future. Is it present perfect, future perfect, past perfect? Is it present progressive, past progressive, future progressive? Is it active voice? Is it passive voice? Is it indicative mood, subjunctive mood, imperative mood? When you're getting into inflective languages such as Latin, Arabic, Greek, French, and so forth. Domino. Domino. I empower. I empower. That's your inflection. Tense, mood, voice, aspect, you have to know that. Let's translate this. I am power. That's it. I am power. That's an inflection right there.
Now, Professor, you go into more details with the grammar. Could you give a little bit more information about the classes that you offer regarding the illustrations that you provide?
Yes, once again, before I go, I'm going to finish up here, and I'm going to vocabulary building lesson. Go to academyofprovidence.org. There's a 12-week course on getting to the roots, which was taught in the 12-week course is Hooked on Grammar 201, which was taught this past summer on Thursday. Hooked on Grammar, that's a 12-week course. We have another grammar course, Getting to the Roots. Getting to the Roots 201 or 101, which was taught in January. Oh no, Hooked on Grammar 101, which was taught in January. And that was a 7 or 9 week course. We have Getting to the Roots 101, which was taught summer 2020. And that's part of etymology, vocabulary building, as well as grammar. All right, where in that course I taught the parts of the sentence: subject, direct object, indirect object, all right, object complement, and the questions they ask: who, what, when, where, why, and how. So that's the 5 W's and the H. So I demonstrated that for you tonight. So that's academyofprovidence.org. All right, for these classes. All right, so I'm going to get into vocabulary building. My book, or one of my books, Etymology Vocabulary. I came up with, as I was teaching, as I taught at PASSUP, Pan-African Studies Community Education Program, from 2003 to 2019. And as I was working on this book, Etymology Vocabulary, I was coming up with ways of just a simple way of, teaching the vocabulary lessons. As it was taught to me, and I'm always looking to expand on what I learned, how to expand on the lesson, how to make it easier. All right. So what I came up with is patterns, prefix, root words, and suffix patterns. There are 11 prefix, root words, and suffix patterns in the my etymology vocabulary book. So that was something that I developed to explain the lesson, to make it a lot easier. All right. So we have, I'm going to give about 2 patterns. You have prefix. Before I do the patterns, let's look at here the number line. I'm going to use the number line so I can explain the patterns. A word can have as many as 2 prefixes and as many as 3 suffixes. All right, so this is your root. So to understand the pattern, suffix, suffix, suffix. All right, prefix 1, prefix 2. So this is what I did. So we have pattern, one of the patterns, prefix plus root. So what words will fit into this pattern? Prefix plus root. You said aboriginal? Restore. So restore. We have construct. All right, this fits in the pattern of prefix root. This has one, restore has 1 prefix, it has your root word. 1 prefix, root. So that's the prefix root pattern. All right, let's use the pattern that Terrence gave us. Terrence gave us aboriginal. All right, so you have the word original. All right, so we have here prefix, prefix, root, suffix. Prefix, 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 root, root, suffix. All right, that's aboriginal. So let's look at it. All right, OI, ab, GIN, AL. GIN is a form of GEN, as in Genesis, generation, gender, generation. Also GIN G-I-N, and G-E-N are Greek forms. G-I-N and G-E-N are Greek forms. The Latin is N-A, all right? So you have, when it comes from Greek into Latin, all right, you have what's called see here. So the G is removed. So you have the word nation. Nation, native. All right? So they're all there. These are cousins. Genesis and nation. Genesis, gender, nation, ninder, native are cousins. They're cousins. They're cousins. Move interest from, this is the Greek form, this is the Latin form. All right? So this is the Getting to the Roots 101 in the summer of 2020. You go to the Academy of Providence.org, and we have all the classes listed. All the classes listed, and you can purchase the classes. All right? We have the access to the videos of the classes as well as the material. So the video and materials, not just video. So you're not just watch, you also have the material which you can print and then and follow along. All our classes have a wealth of material. Tests with the hooked on grammar. Hooked on Grammar 201, which is a 12-week course, and this was actually my first time teaching this course. I took the course as a student of the Pan-African Studies Community Education Program in 1999 and 2000. I took the course twice. I took the class on clauses twice, in 1999 and 2000. The class was only that class was only taught once a year. Professor Burton taught the clause classes once a year, and the class on phrases once a year. So I took both classes twice, 1999 and 2000. I spent 5 straight years studying grammar. I mean, studying grammar, because not only did I want to improve my writing and reading comprehension, but I also wanted to teach it. So I studied it so I can teach it. It was not good enough for me just to be able to use it for myself. That's not good enough for me. I got to pass it on. I got to be able to pass it on. It's not good. I'm not satisfied just for myself. If I just know it's not good enough for me, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed. If I cannot impart it to other people, I am disappointed. It means nothing to me if I can't impart it to other people. I have the intent to impart it to others. I studied to impart it to others, not just myself. Not stuff myself. I don't think like that. When I am in the library, hours and hours in the library for years. I always, how can I make this for the children? I come across a book. How can I develop the lesson for the children? That's how I think. I never think of why. I understand that we're interconnected with each other. The power of unity. The power of unity. Yes. Etymology and vocabulary. You go to mooresandmasonry.org. mooresandmasonry.org. You have How Our Moon and Venus Rule. mooresandmasonry.org. Moors of Masonry, my 5th year anniversary will be to December. The 5th year anniversary of Moors of Masonry will be in December. So I like to have a party. 20 years of research. 20 years of research. moorsofmasonry.org. The enslavement of Europeans doesn't fit the general theme of European world conquest and colonization that is central to scholarship on the early modern era. Robert Davis, professor of Italian Renaissance history, Ohio State University. So I had someone, a friend of mine in Chicago, he relocated to Tennessee, drew this for me. All right. And then we have the Masonic Compass Square and the connection to measurement and timekeeping. moorsofmasonry.org. John Michel, who wrote the foreword for the canon, an exposition of the pagan mystery perpetuated in the Kabbalah as the rule of all arts, written by William Sterling, states, the subject of the canon is the ancient and esoteric law that formerly regulated every aspect of human activity, providing a canonical standard for all the arts and sciences as music, declaration, sculpture, astronomy, and the art of government, of which, according to Plato, preserved for over 10,000 years the stability of Egyptian culture. The numerical ratios of which the law was essentially composed were also applied to metaphysics and theology. The nature of each god was represented by a number to which reference was made in the numerical value of the letters of his name, in the dimensions of his temple, in the number of verses in the hymns addressed to him, and in all his various rights and attributes. An initiate into these mysteries was thus able to study the relative significance of the individual gods within the cosmic scheme, of which the law was both the symbol and the image. The canon is not presented as a textbook of mystical mathematics, but as a more subtle purpose to illustrate the methods by which the priests formally regulated the lives of the people in accordance with their interpretation of the cosmic laws and cycles. To understand the meaning of this science, even to admit the possibility of an accurate and skillfully applied cosmological knowledge among the ancients, it is necessary to disregard several fundamental assumptions of modern history and philosophy. So, once again, we go to moorsofmasonry.org. I'll put that on the board. All right. You showing at the bottom? All right. Any questions? Comments? Criticism? I don't know what I'm talking about. No, I got to open. I mean, if it's, if you don't have criticism, I mean, I got to still say criticism, because that's, can't. I'm open for that. I mean, I'm not, right. What's that? All right. He said, oh, so that's a criticism. I don't smile enough. Hey, hey, I said in criticism, so. All right, right on. All right, good. All right, so what time are we looking at? 18 minutes. All right, good. So all right, go ahead. Yes.
Just to let everybody know that when you go to academyofprovidence.org, registration is free. The registration is free, and then you can access the Moorish body politic formation course, which is also.
He's talking about for the Moorish body politic formation classes,
yes.
right?
Yes, but the registration for online is free. You can register for free.
All right.
The classes on the other hand, are
The other classes,
know,
the grammar
paid for.
courses, the vocabulary building, the law courses there's a cost.
Yes,
Those are not free.
but for the free class is the body politic formation.
Yes.
So you will see that when you. I mean,
Yes. So they have to register to have access to the free
absolutely.
Moorish body politic, the 15 classes, the Moorish body politic formation classes. All right, good. Anything else? All right. So let's in the a movie that you want to I'll suggest you watch is Professor and the Madman. And in the movie Professor and the Madman, it's talks about the development of the Oxford English Dictionary, which was called the philosophical dictionary. This was developed. The Philosophical Society of London had been working on their project for 20 years before S.H. Murray came along. And S.H. Murray suggested a methodology of getting the people involved. He wanted to he solicited the aid of the general public. And they restricted it to the modern English language to the 1400s. And that methodology had been criticized by scholars in different parts of the world as the Philosophical Society of London had restricted its its language to its meanings just to nothing beyond the 1400s. And so this is a very good book to see how the Oxford English Dictionary was actually developed. And the question is, why are dictionaries seen as an authoritative source? What makes dictionaries an authoritative source? Why is it seen as an authoritative source? There's no meaning beyond the 1400s. So the claim, S.H. Murray claims that they were going to search out every meaning. But that was not the case. Every meaning had not been searched out. And as I said, he had opened it up to the general public. And so whatever meaning they wanted to see how the particular meanings were applied in literature, were applied into everyday English language, everyday intercourse among those, in London. So this was very limited. So the Oxford English Dictionary is a very limited source of definitions. What does that do for us, Moors? What does by restricting our minds, limiting our minds to the Oxford English Dictionary or the Webster's or Fulton Wagner or the Random House, by limiting our minds to the dictionary, the meanings in those dictionaries, what are we doing? What does that do? That strips us of our sovereignty. Because you don't think beyond the restrictions. You're boxed in. You don't think beyond this box that was constructed by the Philosophical Society of London. The Philosophical Society of London, led by S.H. Murray 20 years later, and he came on board. His methodology is limited. So we read that dictionary or other modern English dictionaries, and we view those dictionaries as a source of authority. Well, look it up in the dictionary. Go to the dictionary. Look it up in the dictionary. Malcolm X, Ilhaj Malik Shabazz. He's lauded, means praise, because he read the dictionary while he was in prison. Oh man, he sure was smart. Man, he read the dictionary. I'm not praising that methodology. He read a modern English dictionary in the prison. So what? So what? He could regurgitate every meaning. So what? Once again, he's stricted. His mind was just limited to the meanings in the modern English dictionaries. So therefore, you're not thinking beyond that. You can't. So there's how there's maintaining the stripping of our sovereignty, because we can't get back to the mindset of our ancestors. We can't get back to ancient philosophy, ancient well-settled principles, ancient cosmology. We can't get back to that. So we've been stripped of that. So we got to start analyzing dictionaries. Watch the movie Professor and the Madman. Watch to see and pay close attention on the methodology of the development of the Oxford English Dictionary and the limitations of that methodology, and how the Philosophical Society of London had been criticized. Now, this modern English dictionary could be used or forced in the areas where Great Britain had colonies. So now they're doing is stripping the native people of their sovereignty. Yeah, we're going to introduce English to them, as if you're doing them a good thing. Why is that a good thing? Introducing English? Yes, bring it on.
Yes, Abdullah, I have a question.
Mike.
Yes,
Mike.
Yes, Abdullah, I have a question.
I got the mic on.
Yes. So it's safe to say, Abdullah, is that Webster and the so-called Blackstone philosophy of meanings are all in that box.
Yes, Blackstone commentaries.
Yes, I just
Blackstone commentaries
Yes.
at Webster's.
Yes.
Merriam-Webster. Marion is a husband and wife. That's the Marion. That's the husband and wife's family name. They bought the rights to Webster's. That's why you see Merriam-Webster's. You know, I thought that Marion was the daughter of Webster. No, Marion, husband and wife, they bought the rights to Webster's dictionary. Right, so you got Johnson's dictionaries in the 1700s. So this is Blackstone commentaries in the 1700s, and so these are modern English. So we're trapped into modern English. We don't think beyond the constructed meanings. The constructed meanings may still our birthright. The constructed meanings strip of our sovereignty. We have to think along these lines. We cannot see modern English, Webster's, Oxford, Random House, Funk and Wagnalls, Blackstone commentaries, Johnson dictionaries as authoritative sources. Why do we see them as authoritative sources? So this is why I spend time in studying linguistics, to bring this to our people. Any questions?
Yes, there's questions, but it's not pertaining to grammar. So are we going to open source questions?
No, any questions pertaining to my presentation?
Okay, no.
All right. So Professor and the Madman, watch that movie. All right, so whoever controls the meaning of words, controls the people who must use them. If you can control the meaning of words, you can control the people who must use them. Philip A. Philip Philip A. Dick. So you control the meaning of words, you can control the people who must use them. How do we challenge this? Well, I do a national Moorish governing body. As individuals not united in a governing body, you're not going to be effective. You're talking about, remember, the Philosophical Society of England was backed up by the crown. That Philosophical Society of England did not stand alone. That was authorized by the crown. The crown is the security, the secured or the obligee, the crown of the Philosophical Society of London. They were doing it under the authority of the crown to be used because that was will be also be used as a source of revenue, be used in the colonies under the crown's control. So you're talking about control here. You're talking about control, generational control. You're talking about a dictionary. Being viewed as an authoritative source. No meaning is accepted outside of this. They run to what? The Oxford English Dictionary. For verification, for meaning. So you see the power of that? But remember, once again, the Philosophical Society of London was not operating outside of the crown. Keep that in mind. It wasn't this Philosophical Society of London standing alone. And what? Under the authority of the crown, that which they were commissioned to do that. Very important. Very important. So we also we have still open the class. The public administration and international law course is still open. We will be starting the third class of the 12-week course tomorrow. So once again, the courses are available. So we'll have it open. So if you want to take the course, go to the academyofprovidence.org, Public Administration and International Law course. This is packed full information course. I'm excited about it. All right. So we don't want to be boxed in. We don't want to be boxed in. We don't want to limit the scope of our mind. Once again, grammar. Grammar is a building block to reading comprehension. And I wanted to present that, and I'll be presenting these various lessons every month, every second Friday, presenting various grammar lessons, semantic lessons, dictionary study skills lessons. All right. I'll just be giving little tidbits here and there. And also I want to encourage you to go to the academyofprovidence.org and sign up for these classes. Sign up for the classes, the Hooked on Grammar 101, Hooked on Grammar 201, Get into the Roots 101, Get into the Roots 201, Public Administration International Law, Sejurist 101, Sejurist 201, Contract Law course. All right, so for the almost 2 years now, the Academy of Providence has been having classes with a couple hundred students who have come through the Academy of Providence. All right, so once again, you go to the academyofprovidence.org and sign up for our classes. And looking forward to seeing you. And we'll see you next month, the second Friday on the House of Reading, Waking the Mind venue. All right, and you'll actually get law lesson as well as the language study skills lesson. All right.
Thank you, Professor. Can I get about 5 minutes of your time, Brother Shem, to the board, to the stage? Can I get about 5 minutes of your time? As much as you know, we only come on this platform once a month, so I know people have been very steadfast and putting a lot of questions in here, and we don't want to leave it open hanging like that because it's very vital that the information is shared. So Antonio, Lynn, Antonio, here, Anthony, Lynn, Antonio, here we go. What court do we go to enforce the treaties? I know you spoke about that earlier, and I'm gonna just segue in it. We would, as Moors, we would go to the International Court of Justice as a restored nation, reverting to sovereignty to enforce the treaties.
Yes,
Could you go a little bit more in that information for the people, because that's been the question that has been went across here about 5 or 6 times. So if you can give us about 5 minutes on that, I'd be.
Yes. The Native Moors of Morocco. The Native Moors of Morocco. When they have a dispute with any European nation that's in treaty with them in Morocco, have a treaty with Morocco. That means the nations and states and tribes of Morocco, that forms Morocco. You have to go by the language of the treaty. Now, if it's Great Britain and the British Dominion, when a dispute arises and we are considered as the defendant, the Moors have original jurisdiction. That means when the Moors accused of any crime or any civic dispute happens, criminal or civil, and we are defended, Morocco, the courts in Morocco, the government of Morocco has the original jurisdiction. If the Moors, Native Moor Morocco, is bringing a claim against a colony, a township, a commonwealth, or state by conquest or treaty. So United States of North America is a state, a host of states through treaty. You bring the complaint to the crown, to the council general of the crown. That complaint, the council general now has the exclusive authority to adjudicate that matter. If the matter is not reached in the interest of the secure party creditor, which is a Native Moor, when the government, the council, brings that claim, and Great Britain is not willing to acknowledge the error or wrong that caused harm to a Native Moor or the Moor's government on their land, then the Moor files a letter of rogatory with the World Court and accuse Great Britain of being unjust and unfair and holding up its obligation. When I say obligation, that means if Great Britain is under obligation and Great Britain is not giving Morocco sovereignty, Morocco is delegating, they have to delegate something. In order for Great Britain, England to be there, to be in a position to sign a treaty, there has to be an invitation. So Morocco is always the creditor, and the Moor is the secure party creditor. Morocco is always the creditor, and the Native Moor Morocco is secure. The Native Moor is the party, and he's a creditor because he's not bound by their laws in his land.
Thank you. Now, could that process be handled as an individual?
Absolutely not. They'll tell you goodbye.
So as a nation. So we must come back together.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Brother Shem. Thank you,
Yes.
Professor Abdullah, Talib, Mosi Bay.
Terrence got a
Thank you, House of Reawakening Minds.
Does the U.S. Constitution have any position in that?
No, absolutely not. Thank you.
All right.
Assalamu
Thank you,
alaikum.
everyone.
Assalamu alaikum.
Have a great evening.